Hello everybody, welcome to the Northern Film Review. This week we are reviewing The Death of Stalin, the political satire by the political satire giant Leonardo Iannucci. And we also have a wonderful little tidbit at the end, a scripted piece at the end, which is a little political satire that I wrote, which I pitched but didn't really get through. So I thought I might as well do something for it. Hope you enjoy. The Northern Film Review, with your hosts, Oliver Ellis and Luke Simpson. Hello Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you very much.
Cool.
Busy as per usual.
It is coming to that sort of year, that time of year when everything's sort of a bit, it's kind of like how I feel about it. I'm stressing out, but there's nothing really close. It's about the stressing out about the stressing out.
Yeah.
And I think that's slightly worse.
Yeah, it's just, you're thinking ahead, and thinking ahead you've got loads of stuff to do, and you need to do them stuff, but you don't want to do that stuff because it's too early to do that stuff because you've got other stuff to do, and it's like it's all.
Yeah.
So at the moment I'm pitching ideas for my for my documentary. So that's taken up a large amount of time.
Yeah.
Alongside the professional futures thing as well, which is another part of our course. So it's busy. It's getting to, like I said, it's getting to the end of the year. Only a month left of pretty much one more month of university before we break up for Christmas.
Yeah.
So, eek. But I think it's gonna be great. I think we're on track. It's just very stressful, but we're here to talk about the death of Stalin.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, the university at the moment is that I'm currently doing Pro Tools project, and they don't give us sort of Pro Tools to work on at home, and it's a very expensive program to just buy.
How much is it?
Like I think it's a subscription thing, and I think it's loads of money. And we've got to get like the Pro version, which is even more expensive.
Of course you do.
And to run Pro Tools and to run Pro Tools Ultimate, which is the most expensive version, you've got to have like a $2,000 computer.
Jesus.
And that's like not including the sort of the video editing specifications and stuff like that. And it's not open on the weekends. The university's not open on the weekends, and it's also going to be closed all over Christmas. So,
well, hey,
I don't have any time to do that. So,
you're crunching it.
I've complained to everyone, and I'm going to continue to complain to everyone.
So the first thing you said to me today when we got to the studio was, "Oh, you can't believe we're not open over Christmas. It's not acceptable."
I'm quite annoyed by it, really. I mean, other universities do this, and also if you're on the editing course, you get the Adobe Suite for free.
Oh, we got it for free. The start of first year, not start of first year, but when we broke up for the coronavirus.
We got Pro Tools for that as well.
Did you?
But they've now just stopped giving us Pro Tools.
Oh.
So
That's odd.
Boo. Hashtag complain. Yeah, I think one thing that I'm just sort of interested in at the moment is political satire.
Yeah.
So, like I said in the intro, we're going to be reviewing The Death of Stalin. We also have. So I wrote a little short script that I pitched, and I think political satire really isn't the. It's not really a very studenty thing to do.
No.
I don't think, because like one of my favourite shows is The Thick of It, or In the Thick of It, and I really like it as a show, and I kind of wanted to make something like that. It's not really for our age demographic, early 20s. I don't care.
Yeah, especially for arty film students as well. It's not something that will look nice.
Because I put lots of effort into the pitch for it, and then I sort of I pitched another film as well, which I put very little effort into, and it got double the amount of votes that
really?
were political.
So we did have a podcast talk about your pitching, but did you actually see like how many votes everyone got?
No, I just saw how many votes mine got. So I'm not going to say how many votes.
Was it a bit of a god?
No, I think or
did you get more than you expected?
The county one did pretty well actually, and I think maybe if I'd put more work into it, that might have been chosen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it got double the amount of votes.
Jeez, that's a heck of a lot.
that was really surprising to me because I put so much effort into the sort of political satire one. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's just not the vibe, and I think that's what I sort of understand from that. But talking about political satire, we will be reviewing The Death of Stalin, who is also wrote The Thick of It, or In the Thick of It, Leonardo Iannucci. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. Leonardo, if you're listening, send us a DM.
Nice to meet you.
Send us a DM on Instagram, and I'll be sort of amazed that you have Instagram. So he's sort of one of the sort of the pioneer, sort of political satirists, I think, because he's appeared a lot on Have I Got News for You?
Yeah.
And he's also done other sort of political satire-esque sort of stuff, and writing in the thick of it. And I think he's also wrote a couple of other political satire-based things.
Did Alan Partridge Alpha Papa?
Yeah. Maybe his career isn't that great, but it's
It's a great film.
It is, yeah. So he's sort of done all that stuff, and I think basically, you're a political satirist when you've got Have I Got News for You, and he's often a frequenting guest on that.
Yeah.
And Ian Hislop seems to like him a lot. So when I first watched The Death of Stalin, I was recommended it by my dad. And I was like, oh, okay, that seems interesting, because I'm a very politically involved person. I think if you've ever met me in real life, I will find some way of talking about politics with you, because I'm just slightly obsessed.
Yes.
I read lots of books on it, and I sort of always watch the news, and I'll read newspapers about the political and read the political segments of it, and then I'll do all sorts about that. And I'm very involved. I think I'm not going to disclose my political affiliation, as I don't really have one. But are you a politically involved person, Luke?
Layman's terms, no.
No.
It's not something it's not something I've been interested in. I know it's important for people our age to keep an eye on it, but it's never something I've gone out my way to keep an eye on. I know my family is, though, for sure. Like, definitely my sister is very much in that political state of mind, and so is my dad and my mum. So, and I'm like the odd one out, really. Yeah. It's just like, I find it too much at times. Yeah. But then on the other hand of it, I'm like you. I love In the Thick of It, and I love Death of Stalin. To be fair, so
finding the funny side of politics.
Yeah. So like Last Leg. I don't know if you've seen Last Leg as well. Yeah. But that's like a show. A bit like Have I Got News for You?
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's more topical news.
Yeah, it's more topical, more out there, and it's funny. But I didn't go watching Death of Stalin for the politicalness of it. I watched it because of the history of it, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Because I'm a massive history nerd and history buff. And how I found out about the Death of Stalin was watching a YouTube video by this guy called History Buff who reviews historical films and proves how accurate they are. But he goes into the history behind the event that's taking place. Yeah. And then reviews the film and sees how accurate it is. So that's how I got into it, because I was really interested in Cold War. Yeah. And well, if you don't know, that's where the film said Death of Stalin, from Death of Stalin on to basically about finding the new.
It's about the death of Stalin.
About Death of Stalin and finding the new. It's not president of Russia. It's prime minister. Not prime minister.
I think.
Thinking of Russia, the political leader.
I don't know what you'd call it.
It's not,
because it's not. I don't think it's prime minister or president. I think it would have been slightly something
supreme leader,
because then it's not voted on ? Yeah. So the sort of like
the leader of Russia.
Let's go with that. Yeah. Because I'm quite sort of interested in Russian politics, because it's quite interesting. It's quite turbulent. So it kind of like the Communist Party in Russia was sort of brought out by the sort of the falling of the monarchy, the Russian monarchy, and that's what brought out the sort of the communist
the
party.
Tsar, was it?
Yeah, something like that. And that was brought out for, like, you know, all sorts of stuff. And then the Soviet Union was made, and then the sort of the post-war sort of Soviet landscape, and that sort of fell with the falling of the Berlin Wall and stuff like that. And it sort of like details the sort of the dying of Stalin and bringing in a new communist leader for Russia. So I think one of the things when I'm watching the film I quite enjoyed was just how there was a really good sort of cast, lots of really good acting.
Yeah. Should we go for the cast first? And just
okay, sure. Yeah.
So in it, Steve Buscemi, brilliant.
Yeah.
Simon Russell Byle, Jason Isaac, Michael Palin, Rupert Friend. It's Paddy is it Constantine? Something like that. He's in Hot Fuzz and stuff like that. It's sort of like a all-star British kind of. Paul Whitehouse as well is in it, and it's like the people they cast for the style of film that he's going for. I think it's perfect.
Yeah,
like the way they each person they don't put on a Russian accent to do it. So Stalin's a Cockney.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
It's hilarious because you just go like proper British Cockney, and it's just like. Oh, that's just weird. Like you see this midget, and like, oh, he's gonna sound really Russian or whatever. You go, and it just goes into a Cockney accent. It's like, oh, that's like expectation subversion right at the start.
Yeah, that's what I sort of because I kind of went into it, kind of expecting that to have Russian accents and stuff like that. And I thought. Because sometimes you get like these actors and they're putting on Russian accents and it feels a bit sort of fake, and you need to be a really good actor to do a really good accent, and you'll often find it with sort of films that they're sort of, you know, they're doing this horrible accent, and I can tell it's not your native accent, and just do it in your own.
Like,
yeah, I don't know what accent that is, but it's Mr. Blobby. I don't know. But it's it really sort of worked for me, and I'm so amazed that it worked so well.
It's that kind of film that from the title of it, Death of Stalin, you think, oh, it's going to be some drama, some periodical drama, not periodic, but you know what I mean, like some drama that's going to take it all serious and it's going to be depressing, and you're going to see. It's not. I think in a way, because it's not a very. It's not a very out there film. It's not like a.
It's not like spaceships and sort of like, you know, poison faces.
It's not popular as well. It's not like a very popular film. People don't really know about it, really.
Yeah.
Underrated, I'll say.
Underrated, yeah. I think with the sort of coming back to the sort of their accents, it really sort of allowed for the comedy to come through a bit, because I think often. I think you'll see with the sort of the political satire thing that we did. It's that a lot of comedy can come through accents and sort of making fun of that. I think, you know, obviously Borat is very much that. A
lot of stand-up comedians are quite good with their accents as well.
Yeah, and
especially I'll say this because I don't really watch American stand-up, but from the ones I have, they don't really seem to do accents. They just seem to be crude. But then you see British comedians. Yeah. So like Jimmy Carr can do really good accents. There's Michael McIntyre who's very good at accents, and so on and so on and so on. I think it makes it more engaging. Yeah, definitely. In a way.
And I think that was so good about it. I think and the sort of the comedic bits of it really sort of hit every time, and I felt like it was something that I was kind of learning about and sort of like also laughing along with it, and I felt that was really good as well. And I think that's probably a very hard thing to do, to make something that's both sort of, I mean, it's not like you wouldn't to be fair, you might kind of watch it in a history class as like, you know, end of year treat.
I would very much say so. As I mentioned before, the history buff when he reviewed it, it's very historically accurate.
Yeah.
It's it may be condensed into, because you can't fit. So I think it's about a year's worth of history condensed into an hour and a half. In the film, it's based across a few days. You can't really do that. You can't really show like a full year of something without showing all the in betweens. So they kind of merge it all together.
Yeah.
I think it kind of works though as well, and yeah, it won't happen day after day after day. But like the history can say yes, but that happened then. But this is what happened, and it's and I think it's really interesting, and like I said, I think it's a film that most history buffs should go and give it a watch. Or political satirists.
Yeah, I think, and also one thing it also felt very modern.
Yes.
Which is a weird thing to say about a historical thing. It felt very modern in the way it was made. The jokes felt modern and punchy, and it didn't feel too British, which I think it maybe because if you look in the thick of it, that can really just only be watched by British people,
especially because of Peter Capaldi. Is very much Scottishness.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
I think going through that, and I saw that was a really good thing that the film did, and obviously it was very funny. And but one of the things that I perhaps didn't like so much about the film is that it's sort of this. I'd imagine they sort of spent all the money on these actors because I think they had these wonderful big set pieces, but the sort of like the visual style of it was a bit naff. Because I mean it is, and again it's a comedy, but it didn't. When I watched it, I was like, "Is this just a very long BBC program, or is this an actual film?"
Yeah.
And I think there was lots of red in it because communism. But it could have been done better. Like I was looking at some of the shots in it, and they're like, "Oh, okay." It's just a bit bland. It's just kind of like what you'd see on like a generic.
But then you could also say the thick of it is very bland as well. It's very, but it's very.
I mean,
grey.
there is there is a in the thick of it film that I haven't seen, which is sort of based in America, but I think that's sort of like that style is a bit. I'm not really. It works well for TV programs because it's easily replicable, and you'll see it in sitcoms and stuff like that. But I think for a big film with a star-studded cast, it kind of felt a bit. I'm not really.
But you can say quite a few comedies can look a bit naff because they're more focused on the script and how it.
Yeah, but
because most comedies are dialogue-based films, not visual-based films.
No, but I think for what I want, I think if you look at a film like Borat, I think that's sort of visually interesting. And if you look
it's a mockumentary,
and if you look at sort of other people's of the Sacha Baron Cohen films,
like Bruno and
they're quite visually interesting films.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not really the biggest fan of them, but they're visually interesting. That you could go, oh, that's a nice shot.
Yeah.
I like the big sort of the VFX here. It's not just someone filming a black car in sort of deep Soviet abandoned forest, whatever. So kind of like I'm not really. I kind of wish it was it looked a bit better. And I think there's a couple of scenes in the death of Stalin that I really liked. That's sort of the look of, and the sort of them all standing together and
the funeral.
At the funeral, and the sort of like when they have like the red background and the red really like sticks out. It's a very interesting and very sort of pretty thing, but that doesn't really get carried on, and it just sort of feels a bit lackluster in parts. And I think you could have done a bit more with that, but I think the comedy does really pull through on it, and I think that's why I like it so much, because it's very funny, and I think it will be sort of a very iconic film. I think and also with sort of what's that like famous British satire film? It's not political satire. And then Jesus is in it. Monty Python, yeah. Monty Python is also very visually interesting as well, and that's very Britishy and very funny.
Yeah, Monty Python have their own style, especially with their weird animations that they put in as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in the Quest for the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
So there's Quest for the Holy Grail, Monty Python, and
Other ones.
Moaning of Life, and I
yeah.
can't remember the Jesus one.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Life of Brian.
Yeah. Directed by Terry Gilliam,
Yeah.
who sort of
He's a genius.
You know, and he was able to make these funny films,
Yeah.
very visually interesting and very cool. You know, he's obviously had a career that isn't just Monty Python, like Brazil and Las Vegas. That Las Vegas film.
Leaving Las Vegas.
I can't remember what it's called now. I'm currently looking up. And stuff like that. It really sort of like pulls through as a you know, that interesting sort of film making. And I think it maybe just sort of fell short on this film. And I think that's maybe, if you're sort of a very filmy person, it's not really sort of...
You can pick it. Like, filmy nerds can pick at it and go, oh yeah, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work.
Yeah, I just think, you know, and again, I enjoyed it. I think it's very funny. I think it's definitely a film I'm going to sort of watch again because it's so funny. And I very much need to see it as sort of a long episode of a sitcom.
Yes.
You know? It's very much that sort of...
So you think, from watching that film, you could have split that up into like a 6-part miniseries at 45 minutes each, but like if you filmed it more of... Obviously you can't put 45 minutes, like it's not like a 5-hour long film. But if they filmed more and covered more and they spread out the dates a bit more and had more history within it, do you think that could have worked as a miniseries more than a film?
Well, yeah, I think maybe. I mean, I think it did work well as a film, you know, and I did enjoy it, and I think maybe going through the sort of the general the dying of Stalin might not have been picked up as a TV show, and because it might be a bit boring over time. But I you know, it could have been that, and it could have gone through the history of it, and it could have had sort of interesting little skits and stuff like that, which would have been fun, and could have been a really sort of interesting British thing. But I
know because it's Death of Stalin, but if it was to make into a mini series, they could focus. Well, because I'm not saying they just focus on the Soviet, but they can then introduce the Americans and the British and make that more funny, and then like they could do the British as the Russians with the Russian accents, or Americans with German accents, or whatever. Because they make Russians with a British accent, so it's a bit, you know, they can do a lot of stuff with that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It feels like I'm slating the film a bit, but I mean, I am. But it's still an interesting film. I think it's definitely one that we should all go watch.
I do, yeah.
So, if you had to sort of rate the film out of 10, as we do, what would you give it?
6.5, 7. I think it's...
Yeah?
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it can be better at points.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good film and people should go and watch it.
Yes. I just did a sneeze then. Yeah, I would give it an 8, which is quite high. I think it would have been much higher if I found it sort of visually pleasing. I think, you know, because it's very much my sort of genre.
Yeah.
And I really like it. And I love politics and I love satire, and I watch Have I Got News For You every week. And the script really hit. It really banged. I think the acting was great.
Yeah.
I think the sort of the general elements of it that weren't visual were fantastic, and I think that was really fun and interesting, good stuff. But the sort of the visuals just really fell flat.
How would you change the visuals of it?
I think maybe sort of adding a conscious sort of like red lighting in it, having a better camera. You know, just general better DOP sort of thing, and maybe going a bit sort of avant-garde with the production design. And yeah, I just think it needs to be sort of the camera work needs to have had a bit more sort of oomph and a bit more interesting lighting, and then the sort of the sound of it as well. I think because I think when you sort of like you watch comedies, you don't really think of the sound. But I think, what is it, Aeroplane? The sort of that's like seen as like the best comedy film.
Do Not Call Me Shirley.
And that sort of thing, and it's quite the sort of the visuals in that and sort of the sound that's used, all these like elements that are sort of mushed together to make this really, really funny film. That's not too much.
And you could also say the same with Scary Movie as well, which is a satire on horror films as well. Which the first one worked really well, but then later on it got worse and worse.
Yeah.
But the first Scary Movie, no, even better is Scream. Wes Craven's Scream. It's a horror film, but it's still very scary, but it's a satire of his existing work. So basically, he's making it funny, taking the mick out of his stuff and making it funny within the horror film, which still makes it scary, and like using all the tropes and stuff like that. I think Scream's a good example of a good satire.
Yeah, definitely. But I think I don't know. I think it just needed more sort of depth to the sort of the layers of it. And I think the writing's really clever, and the writing's really good, and the acting's really good, and the dialogue's really good. Like the dialogue's fantastic, really. But it's just sort of
how it was performed, and that's why you pay the big bucks for people like Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, and I think maybe they sort of wasted all their not wasted, but used all their budget on that to sort of get to it really. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Would recommend. But so hopefully you've enjoyed that. We're gonna go play, or we've already recorded it. But we've got our friend Imogen to sort of play a part in it, and it's gonna be me and Luke, and we're gonna do sort of the political satire thing like we mentioned at the start of the podcast. And it's sort of it's about this MP and her sort of life in her constituency. And it's quite interesting. Like I said, I wrote it for my pitch, which is interesting. We might do this sort of thing again.
We had a little chat before recording about getting the people who didn't really get their scripts picked up within the pitching session, and try and get their instead of being a film, being a radio show, radio performance, or however you explained it.
Yeah, and I think sort of it very much, however, this sort of like fields with how we can do it, because I like adding sort of stuff into the radio show, which we can easily replicate week after week. And whether this can be one of those things is
it won't be every week.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Because you might listen to it and you might go, "Wow, this was terrible."
My beautiful acting, which is not very good.
Nothing in edit can't fix.
Fix it in post.
Yeah, fix it in post. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Samantha, the MP for Wolverhampton constituency, approaches her surgery office at night. Samantha's a posh MP from Wolverhampton, and yes, I know, the word posh and Wolverhampton have never been said together before. She comes to the door, and she sees a big cock graffitied up on it. Samantha walks into her office and looks around.
Simon, are you there? Simon!
She pulls off a huge beige bra and chucks it onto the green chalky sofa. She walks into the office and sees a fancy note on the table.
Oh, it's from Simon. How nice.
Simon. That's weird. Oh no, sorry. Simon. The weird pale ginger shit of the personal assistant wrote. Hi Sam. Sorry for my absence this evening. I thought it was wise to take a trip to the job centre after that terrific display you made in today's debate. Love, Simon.
God, what an absolute wank.
It's the next day, and our beloved MP is answering her emails. She selects all her emails saying something about the cronyism. Whatever it is, she deletes them.
Right, well that's done. Simon, darling, could you be so dear and put the kettle on for me? I'm quite parched. Simon! Simon,
walks up to Samantha's door and closes it.
Simon, no! Oh, for goodness sake, Simon, grow up a bit, will you? What would your dad say? Could you at least tell me who's coming in next?
It's Mr. Johnson. He wants to talk to you about the vote yesterday.
Mr. Johnson? Jesus, Simon. Could I not have had a heads up about this? What do I even pay you for?
To waste taxpayers' money?
You know, Simon, you know what my new campaign slogan should be? Idiot, bloody stupid idiot with a big picture of your face next to it. That right there would rally the troops. You know what? That's actually quite good. Simon, could you write that down for me, please? It's quite funny, like, genuinely. Let's not share this with your dad, shall we?
Ah, Mr. Johnson. She's right through there.
Oh, goodness, he's here.
Out pops Mr. Johnson, as he does.
Ah, hello, Mr. You're in the ice, Simon. Mr. Johnson, have a seat. And Simon, could you close the door, please?
Mr. Johnson is a fat old man who also has brown hair and is from Cradley Heath.
I think you know why I'm here, Your Honourableness.
Mr. Johnson, or what's your first name again?
Patrick.
Right, Patrick. If this is about the dog poo bins again, I called the local council, but they said they've tried putting the locks on them, but the kids still find a way of getting in and start chucking them around.
It's not that. It's about the thing you voted on.
Do you mean the tampon tax? I'm not really sure why you'd be interested in that.
Not that. The other one.
What other one? The trade union thing? That was only a debate. I'll be honest, it was quite a doozy. The reform side was just not on it.
For God's sake, it's like talking to a brick wall. The other one?
Oh, you mean the policing one?
Yes, there we go. About time.
What about it?
Well, I think it's wrong.
Which part?
All of it.
Well, that's specific.
I don't think you should be playing around with things like that.
With what? Government reform? I feel like it's slightly part of my job to do that. What would you rather me do? Smell the roses and run through the fields of wheat?
Of course, I expect you to do your job. Maybe do it with a bit of gusto and a smile for once. Wouldn't hurt. But I think messing with police shouldn't be done like that.
A smile? Anyway, I don't think many people would smile when reforming police policy. But it's kind of decided upon now, Patrick. Not much I can do now. Sorry.
That's all your party do. Make decisions and par for the rest of us.
I thought you didn't even vote for my party.
Wait, which party are you from again?
The one that tries not to be racist.
And which one's that? Shouldn't have bothered with this.
Patrick, come on.
Patrick leaves Samantha's office and Simon walks in. You look lovely today, Mr. J.
Oh, piss off, bucket boy.
Didn't mean that, Simon.
Simon looks confused.
Patrick, let me explain why I voted the way I did.
Are you going to say it makes it strong and stable again?
I've never said that, have I?
All you crooks do is defund the police. Well, I'm not having it. I don't want to feel safe in my own home.
Oh, Patrick, I don't want you to feel unsafe. We're not trying to defund the police. We're just trying to make sure they do their job more effectively. That's all.
Whatever.
The bill is about positioning certain police to more urban centres.
Well, what about areas like this?
I wouldn't exactly classify Wolverhampton as a lush green landscape unless you count the ring road. I wanted to vote for this because I think it's the best way to help people in my constituency. And my children, my family live here, and I wouldn't want to make it unsafe for them. It's the best way to make us all safer.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for understanding, Patrick. Same time next week?
Sure.
Could you pencil that in, Simon? Alright, I'll see you later, Mr. Patrick.
You're all still crooks, you know that?
Yep, thanks for that. Bye now. Well, that was fun. If only they were all that easily convinced. I might be Prime Minister by now. So, who's my next appointment with?
Miss Parks.
Mrs. Parks? Is that the angry woman from the textiles unit? God, really looking forward to that. When is she coming in?
Samantha.
Ah, Mrs. Parks. How lovely to see you. Didn't even notice you there.
I think you left this here.
Miss Parks holds Samantha's bra. Yeah.
Thank you, Mrs. Parks. I was just looking for that. That's alright. Go straight ahead and make yourself at home.
We cut tonight. See you later.
See you tomorrow. Hopefully on time. On time? Yes? Yeah, I'm still on the phone. I'll try and put them to bed tomorrow. Sorry. Love you. See you soon.
Patrick posts a letter through the front door.
Dearest Samantha, we might disagree on certain issues, but I still think you're the best person for the job. And, who knows, maybe next time I'll even vote for you. Sincerest, Patrick Johnson. P.S. You're all still crooks.
Samantha leaves her office and sees that Simon has cleaned the graffiti and left a small message.
Idiot, idiot, bloody stupid idiot.